Investigations are underway into the reported death of Wagner chief Yevgeny Prigozhin. The Russian paramilitary leader was believed to be on board a plane that crashed while en route to St Petersburg yesterday. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy says that Kyiv was not involved in the incident. Russian authorities have remained silent. Our state media showed this video of the private jet falling from the sky. Flight tracking data showed that the plane appeared fine on radar until its sudden drop in its final 30 seconds. The crash happened 12 minutes after the plane took off from Moscow, killing all 10 who were on board. Investigators were seen at the crash site in the city of Kyiv. Rescuers recovered the bodies of all 10 passengers and crew. 6 top lieutenants from Wagner were on that plane. Wagner soldiers played key roles in Russia's offensive in Ukraine. US President Joe Biden said that the plane crash didn't surprise him. German Foreign Minister also echoing the sentiment.
Noch immer ist unklar, was genau passiert ist, weil natürlich auf offizielle russische Verlautbarung kein Verlass ist. Was wir aber wissen, ist, dass wir seit mindestens 1,5 Jahren gerade auch vom Kreml immer wieder belogen werden. Und daher ist es kein Zufall, dass die ganze Welt sofort auch jetzt auf den Kreml schaut, wenn ein in Ungnade gefallener Ex-Vertrauter Putins plötzlich sprichwörtlich vom Himmel fällt, 2 Monate nachdem er einen Aufstand probte.
For more, Dasha Chernyshova joins us live. She's in Moscow. Dasha, there are unanswered questions about this plane crash. Did Mr. Prigozhin perish in the crash? Why did the plane fall? And did President Vladimir Putin have a hand in it, perhaps?
Well, indeed, many questions as to what happened in the skies over the Tver region, which is almost halfway between Moscow and St. Petersburg. What we know officially, and has been confirmed by Russia's aviation agency Rosaviatia, that the name of Yevgeny Prigozhin was indeed on the list of the passengers of this plane. 7 passengers and 3 crew members, all are believed to have died in this plane crash. We understand the investigators have recovered the bodies of all the victims of this plane crash, and some reports suggest now that the bodies are in such state that it is impossible to identify them, to run them against this passenger list, and that's why the DNA samples will be the only way to identify whether Yevgeny Prigozhin was indeed on board of that plane. At the moment, people are mourning. We understand in St. Petersburg, people have been bringing flowers to the Wagner Center, which was lit in the late hours of Wednesday in the shape of the cross in memory of Yevgeny Prigozhin and his close associate, co-founder of the Wagner Group, Dmitry Utkin, who also was on board of that plane. Russian authorities have been largely silent as to their reaction as to what happens in the sky over the Tver region. Indeed, the Russian investigators are now gathering the information. They are looking into what has happened, and certainly there are many versions. There is a lot of speculation and many possibilities what has happened and what caused this plane to crash. Some of the recent reports do suggest that over the course of the past 10 days, the plane Embraer has been in the hangar and undergoing some technical maintenance. Some reports suggest that it was the easiest way to install an explosive device. However, these versions are yet to be confirmed by the Russian authorities, so definitely we're waiting for the conclusions from the investigators on that.
If it is true, Dasha, that Mr. Prigozhin was killed in this crash, how would the founder's demise impact the Wagner Group?
Well, certainly we have heard some reports suggesting that the Wagner PMC does have a protocol what to do if the head of the group, Yevgeny Prigozhin, is dead. And obviously, if there is a contingency plan when the deputy head of this group, co-founder of the group, Dmitry Utkin, is dead as well. So certainly we understand that Wagner Group will have to figure out how to function onwards if this is indeed the case and proven by the DNA samples. So the understanding now is that the Wagner's future is hinging on the reports, whether this is the case, and on the protocols as to what should happen. But again, you have to remember that Wagner was playing a crucial role when it was involved in the Bakhmut operation. After all, it was taking a rather passive role. Yevgeny Prigozhin was later in exile following the arrangement brokered by Alexander Lukashenko. He was supposed to go to Belarus along with his group, but he was seen both in Belarus, in Russia, as well as in Africa. So certainly we understand that some of the fighters who have signed contracts with those African countries where the group was operating will still remain there, and they will need someone to head this group. So certainly the future of the group remains in question, but many analysts do suggest that there will be the new face that will be running this group.
All right, Dasha, thank you. Dasha Chernyshova there in Moscow.